John, how are you this week?
I'm good, Elliot. How you doing?
I'm good too. I noticed this week that FATF, which does a lot of different things, as we've talked with our audience in the past, one of the things they do is they do mutual evaluations of member countries about their how well they're doing in terms of their overall anti-money laundering and terrorist financing programs, and the report for Japan was issued early this week. Did you see that report?
I did, and in addition to the mutual evaluation process, a couple of years ago, I don't remember exactly when, it was decided that they would evaluate based on effectiveness. So in the past, you could argue that the evaluations were: do you have the laws and regs on the books? Is there some evidence of utility? But they sort of shifted that in a more robust way. So I think it gives the evaluation reports give you a better sense. And as we both know, the evaluators, we have actually one of the constant evaluators on our advisory board, Nick Burbridge from Canada. But the evaluators are experts from other jurisdictions that go and assess, like I said, effectiveness. So it definitely gives the jurisdiction an understanding of where they sit in terms of the FATF recommendations and some of the other guidance that have been given by that organization, and also areas where there is potential needed improvement. So I think this is a good example, whether you're doing business in Japan or not, this is a good example for our audience. Take a look at the report, look at least the executive summary and some of the metrics there. And it gives you a good understanding of, again, using the same word, how robust the oversight is by the FATF evaluators.
Right. I think the other thing that would be valuable for our listeners is to take a look at this report and really see the level of detail and the comprehensive nature of the evaluative process. This is not by any means a flyby. These are, as you pointed out, world recognized experts in the field that are the evaluators, and their evaluative process is deep and thoughtful. And the thing that caught me about this report is, again, not that Japan, did terribly by any means, but even a strong industrial economy with a good general governance process as a country, it's still it's not just green in the in some of the dashboards. There's a lot of hard work for jurisdictions, and this is in many ways probably the most consistent review process that they get.
Yeah, and one of the ratings, to your point, they received a moderate evaluation, was in terms of effectiveness, is that terrorist organizations and terrorist financiers are prevented from raising, moving, and using funds, and from abusing the nonprofit sector. So they said they were moderately successful there, and it sort of plays into some of the priorities going forward. The one area which they received a non-compliant had to do with nonprofits, and that's a big issue for our community because of de-risking, demarketing, whatever you want to call it. And in terms of the conclusion of the evaluation is, going forward, what are some of the priorities? And related to that, one of the priorities are, ensuring that there's a complete understanding of NPOs at risk of abuse of terrorist financing, in particular those in higher risk regions, and that there be outreach, guidance, and monitoring of supervision commensurate with those risks. All of that is to say that because we know not-for-profits in the past have been abused by for terrorist financing purposes, that's an area where Japan really needs to step it up. And since we're going into 20 years since 9/11, it's sort of an important point. I mean, many other things were mentioned in it. They got a lot of high marks in some other areas, but that was the one thing that sort of stuck out at me.
Yeah, I agree. And again, if you want to, not as a compare and contrast, but if you want to just if you're one of our listeners and you're in the United States, you can pull up the most recent U.S. report and take a look at it, and it too isn't green. So even countries where you feel like there is a robust regime and many players are active, positive participants, there are still always challenges.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm fairly certain without the U.S. evaluation in front of me, one of the areas where we both had gaps had to do with regulation and supervision of not traditional depository institutions. And Japan was considered partially compliant, and I think we had a similar evaluation. So, even with a robust supervisory oversight, that's another area, that gap that FATF has certainly highlighted.
Right. A reminder of the dynamic nature of the world financial system and how different payment streams and payment products and things that are outside the traditional are making a difficult job that much more complicated.
I agree.
So I'll do my commercial first. If you like this podcast, please join us weekly. We do this one. And join us for our other podcasts. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, or wherever you find your podcasts currently.
Yes, and next week, next Thursday, September 9th, we're doing a very special webinar to commemorate, better understand the ramifications of 9/11. It's been 20 years, as we all know, since 9/11. You're going to have 3 individuals that were engaged not only on that horrific day, but afterwards. And I think, we're going to do more than talk about the day, which again was terrible, but talk about how it impacted the AML, CFT, or CTF communities going forward. So, an opportunity to ask us questions. So, if you get a chance to register for that, it's on our website, 1 o'clock Eastern time, next Thursday, September 9th.
Okay. Well, John, I will obviously be watching from the wings in the webinar, but also I will talk to you for This Week in AML next week.
Great. Take care of yourself, Elliot. Talk soon.
Yep. Have a good holiday weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.